I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with Jahnel Curfman, stunt performer extraordinaire, who has just been nominated for her stunt performance on Netflix's smash Cobra Kai. Jahnel, first of all, congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you very much.
It's very exciting. So you've been working on the show for the first 3 seasons alongside your husband, Hiro Koda. What was it like when you found out, how did you find out that you were nominated this time?
This time I was at work on set and I got a text message from a stunt coordinator who had been nominated himself. Tom Williams, he was nominated for stunt coordination for Doom Patrol, and he sent me a text message and was just like, congratulations, Emmy nominee. And then I, continued about my day. It was very exciting. It was one of those things where it's like, even though I mean, and that's the thing, like I've been nominated before for stunt coordinating, and it never loses that thrill ever. And to be nominated in the first ever performance category for the Emmys is such a huge stride with performance and where stunts stand in the realm of our industry and being recognized by the various academies and awards. So it's definitely an honor.
Yeah, just for people who weren't aware, you were nominated once before for stunt coordination with Hiro. This time you're nominated for stunt performance, which is a new category at the Emmys, which is just wonderful because not only are they recognizing the very technical side of coordinating and designing and working out how the stunts are going to happen, this time they're also recognizing the people who are actually on screen performing those really difficult stunts. So that is, I mean, that's fantastic for your industry, as you say. And kudos to the Emmys, the TV Academy, for recognizing such an important part of our pop culture that, many of us are not even aware of because the stunts are always so seamless.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. But it is one of those things that as stunt people have been striving for years with the Oscars, and we have yet to be recognized by the Academy when it comes to film. So for the Emmys to do it with our performance in television, hopefully sends a message.
Yeah, and just for people who aren't aware, you've also been nominated a few times at the SAG Awards. They also have a stunt ensemble prize. You've won for Endgame.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until not so long ago that you worked on in some of those great Infinity Saga films, which is like a religion in my household. So that's really, really cool. I think you probably have one of the coolest jobs on TV and film. But I guess,
I would have to agree.
Would you agree?
Yes. Well, and not only that, but I get to work with some of the coolest people in the industry as well. Stunt people in general just are it's a large community, but it's also a very tight-knit community. And I have been so blessed to just form some really beautiful relationships with the people that I work with. And when you're working in film and television, you work so intimately with one another because it's long hours. It's up to 16-hour days. You're tired and you're, putting your all into, and for us as stunt performance, it's also physically taxing. So, and then it's also, there's risk involved. So when you've got all those things combined and you're in it and you're going, those friendships tend to have a lot stronger bonds than when you're just sitting in an office crunching numbers or shuffling paper together.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The stakes are actually really quite high for the stunt performer community.
Yeah.
Because every day that you go to work, well, most nights I expect that you're probably battered and bruised, and you're tired emotionally and physically and mentally because of the intricacies of trying to make sure the stunts are going to come off properly. So, I mean, yeah, it's great that you're being recognised, and I just think, to me, when I saw the finale of Cobra Kai, December 19, one of the thoughts I had, other than how satisfying it was as a finale, was just like, this is a no-brainer. This has got to make it into the stunt, one of, if not both, but hopefully one of the stunt categories, because of just the sheer volume of stunts that were in it, and also how beautifully they came off, particularly with the younger cast. So can you talk us through, I mean, for you, was it a no-brainer to submit that finale with that extended sequence in the finale in the house?
It was. I mean, it would have been nice to submit the whole episode because that entire episode had so much between the LaRusso house fight and that whole oneer that happened, and then the fight in the dojo between Daniel and Kreese and Johnny and Robbie, and then they go through the glass window at the end, and then you've also got the Vietnam flashback stuff with some of the newer cast members as well. So the whole episode in itself was so action-packed that I really felt like everybody who worked on that episode deserved to be included in the nomination and submitted. But when we realized there was some limitations as far as like one sequence, that one was the no-brainer. It was like, okay, well, this is the most dynamic. It's, got so much of the, like you said, those seamless transitions between cast and stunt performer and it's that great oneer that, we tried to recreate from season 2 with the high school fight. So there's just a lot of things about it that when Hito and I sat down and talked about it, like, okay, that's the one we have to submit.
Yeah. The fact that it was a one-up is also so impressive to me. Every time I see or hear about how there's a one shot, a long one tracking shot in a film or TV show, I just shake my head and think, I don't know how you guys did it. I don't really want to know because it's just the magic of it. But how was it initially mapped out when going through the various stunts that needed to be performed in that sequence? Did it take a long time to get it just right?
Yes, it does. And I mean, even on the day that you're filming, when you feel like it's the only thing I can compare it to is, and having done theater and having done live performance, that's what it feels like. Because unlike theater, we get multiple takes, but you're trying to do it all as seamlessly as possible in like one run at it. So it's like, okay, this performance from beginning to end has to be perfect. And I posted on my Instagram a few months back of a screenshot of the monitor of us doing that oneer, and you can hear Josh Held and Hito talking through like the stuff and giving like the different cues of what was supposed to happen and where. And then as it sort of like gets to the end, they're like, okay. Like, all right, kick, okay, to the left. Okay. You can hear them like talking at the monitor as we're sort of starting to get to the end, and we're realizing like, wait a second, everything's gone off without a hitch on this one. Could this be the one? I think it was the 7th take we had done, 7th or 8th. And then Peyton List, who's that final moment where she's like walking through and she punches somebody and then kicks somebody. And then you just hear like everybody behind the monitor erupt because it's like, okay, we did it. Oh, so there's so much energy with that cast and with our stunt team on that show that it really, when we pull that stuff off, feels extra like we've accomplished something really wonderful because we're all very celebratory.
Yeah, as you should be. When it comes to execution though, is it standard to follow the plan precisely for safety reasons and because it's been mapped out? Or are you having to be quite agile and come up with solutions as things are progressing when they're not going to plan?
Yeah. Anybody who's worked in film and television knows it never goes as planned or as it's mapped out. And, as much as you plan and account for safety, there's always going to be things on the day of filming that you didn't account for. And it's like, okay, well, we don't have this thing we thought we had. We have to switch this. And it's like, okay, well, we can't go there. It's too dangerous. We have to like implement something else. And so it's a lot of like thinking on the fly and coming up with quick solutions that are safe, that are dynamic, that are going to still look good. Sometimes it's working around an injury. If somebody like all of a sudden injures themselves and it's like, oh my God, like, what do we do? This person was supposed to do, 5 back handsprings and they've now sprained their finger, or, somebody, God forbid, a cast member gets injured and then you haven't quite gotten all of their coverage. There's always things that you're figuring out and flipping and switching and just having to work around on the day of shooting. And obviously safety is always first and foremost. But we also wanted to look good. We wanted to look cool. So and that's the tricky part about, you know, being a stunt coordinator and doing stunts is it's all of those things come into play. And on top of that, you have to make your director happy. Like the director wants to be happy with what you're doing. And if sometimes they're asking you to do something, you're like, I don't think we're going to be able to accomplish that with our limitations here. And then you figure out ways to give everybody in every department sort of what they want in a way that is a happy medium for all. So it's a lot of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what you've just said to me, firstly, just sounds extremely challenging, but then it makes me wonder, as a coordinator and as a performer, because you have that dual responsibility on so many projects, when it comes to working within the set, the confines of the physical space, and then with the actors who are not trained in stunts, can you talk us through any particular challenges, maybe thinking back to this sequence in terms of what we may not be aware of when you're thinking of those two things that are going to hem you in?
Yeah, so we're really blessed with Cobra Kai because we get the cast like 3 weeks before we start filming, and we get to pick up their training where they left off from the season before. So we're training them in martial arts, but we're also incorporating into their training some gymnastics. We're teaching them how to flip, and we also teach them how to take a punch so they can take those reactions, how to do certain falls to mats safely. And then, so with that way, we're able to match what they're doing to what the stunt double is doing even more seamlessly. So we've really been really blessed with this cast because they're so capable and they're so motivated to learn, and everybody just gets in there and, you know, puts 110%. So I don't feel like we've ever really run into those situations where it's something we really want to do and we're not able to. Not with this cast. That's Everybody is just game to get in there. And there's a lot of times too, in season 2, Jacob Bertrand was like, throw me into that glass trophy case. I'm going. And we were like, oh, pump the brakes.
Wait.
You're great. And he is fantastic when it comes to doing his own action. But that was when we're like, sorry, Jacob, like we're going to have to use a stunt double for this. There's a little bit more that goes into it. And there's still 2 more days of shooting after that happens. So we can't afford to lose you. So sometimes that comes into play as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting to me that so many of the non-stunt actors are keen to get involved. It just shows that they're trying to be collaborative and they're keen to try something new. But of course, the studio or the network are probably frowning on that. It's the whole point of having a stunt cast, so that we're not ruining shots later on that where we're going to need to see their face. So I just wonder then, what is there a clear demarcation between the stunt cast and the main cast on this show? And because it's hard for me to judge where one starts and the other one begins, so forth.
You mean as far as like filming or just?
Yeah. As far as filming goes.
I mean, in general, we will, especially when it's like actor on actor, we will, if we're on the actor's face, we'll pair them with a stunt double so that you're on the stunt double's back. That way, when we're getting the coverage of the actor, they can go as, you know, they can be as aggressive as they want without having to worry about, you know, the other actor missing something, not ducking a punch and getting hit in the face. As stunt people, we're just sort of used to that. Taking those bumps and bruises and working through it. So, and it also gives them a break. So like when Mary Mauser, Peyton List, Julia Maggio, who I'm also nominated with. So when the 4 of us are doing our sequences, a lot of times it'll be me fighting with Mary and it'll be on her and on my back. And then vice versa, it'll be Mary fighting with Julia, getting her coverage, so that it gives the actors a break, so that when it counts for them, they're really on. And then also, you know, as a stunt performer, that's what we're trained for and that's what we're there for. We we bring an energy and a dynamic there that sometimes you don't get when it's two actors fighting each other and maybe feel, you know, not quite sure of the choreography or feel like they're not going to remember it. Or when you've got somebody who's just on it and that's what they do, then it helps us guide them through it and lead them through it and keeps the energy up as well, which is so important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. We touched
And
on this. Yeah.
a lot of the stuff we do, just to add to that, is, you know, if somebody's doing like a sidekick and you have to make contact, a little bit of contact, you're not going to want one of your actors doing that to another one in case they go too hard, or if there's something you have to do where they do have to make a little bit of contact. You always, in my experience, I've always wanted it to be like another stunt person because they know how to take that energy and react to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're there for. That's what you do. That's what you know. Yeah. Just like every other department on the series, we go to the experts for the things that they do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we touched on this earlier, and I always wonder with stunt crews whether it is an industry that is often plagued with injury and elevated health risk. Is that a misperception, or is that quite true?
No, it's true. And, you know, a lot of us have all been through serious injuries where we've been on some production where we have maybe been seriously hurt. And it's also something that flies underneath the radar. I know me personally, whenever I've suffered a serious injury or had to have a surgery or anything, I just sort of like take a step back and, you know, I do my 8 weeks recovery and then I go back to work, and never really want that to be, I never want that to be floating around in some stunt coordinator's mind of like, oh, I need her to take these big falls and do these big wire gags, but she just had back surgery. Like, yeah. That's, you know, that's for me to decide. Like, if I want to go back to work 8 weeks out from back surgery, then that's what I'm going to do. So
yeah, you don't want to be hemmed in.
Yeah. But it's also being smart too. A lot of it's maintenance. You know, I have a great neuromuscular therapist that I see, and it's a lot of massage and stretching and Theragun and ice and elevation and all the things we need to do to take care of our bodies for longevity in the business.
Yeah, and actually it reminds me that you were a former competitive gymnast and professional dancer, but both very physical professions where looking after your body is paramount. So you're kind of used to the physicality, but then I just wonder how you pivoted into this line of work.
I was dancing in LA. I had just finished a season dancing for the Lakers as a Laker girl, and my agent at the time called me and said, hey, there's this top secret project. They're looking for tall, athletic women who move well. We want you to go in and screen test for it. So I went in and went through like a whole series of auditions and screen tests, and it ended up being Jim Cameron's first Avatar. And I worked on it for 3 years as part of his motion capture troupe. And we worked very closely with the stunt coordinator and stunt team. And all of that work was incredibly physical. And it was after that film that I was like, okay, I think this is the direction I want to go. And I, you know, made that transition. I got into martial arts and never really looked back.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing how things are meant to be. And now not only were you working on, you know, one of the most popular shows on planet Earth, Cobra Kai, but you've now moved on to Stranger Things, and you're working on the new season there, which another very cool pop culture phenomenon. Before we let you go, are we to expect another incredibly high-paced and action-packed season with Stranger Things? Because we're all dying to see it.
I can't say anything there, so the fans will not be disappointed.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Jahnel, congratulations on your second Emmy nomination. Good luck for the Emmys. I hope you have a really good time.
Thank you.